Welcome back. Crane Durham's Nothing But Truth proudly on. Say it with me now. AFR Talk. Now, I opened the last segment with Debbie Wasserman Schultz. It's a rough one, Crane. Thought she was done after the election. They kind of took her off the old speaking circuit. Because what she was saying was not true, and she was so bad at lying that it was so easily exposed. They couldn't hold their nose anymore. They were just like, "Oh, okay, we'll put her back over here." People just don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear. They don't want to hear where the political debate is. You know what's great about what's going on right now? Well, first and foremost, happy Veterans Day. It's great we have the freedom that we have. Now we're going to be exploring the freedom and religious freedom in particular later on this week and throughout the week, quite frankly. And so we'll talk about that. But a big hats off to our veterans, those who have served, those who continue to serve. Thank you very much for what you do. Every break, I thought I would tell you about a new book or a book that you should read. Last segment, it was first book I mentioned, Politically Incorrect Guide to the Vietnam War, Phil Jennings. This Time We Win, James S. Robbins, Dr. James S. Robbins. This Time We Win. Some books that you can, I'll list these on the Facebook page on the flip side of the show. Just want you to know. Because part of the problem that we're having right now is people have rewritten history, and you see politicians attempt to do that spin, they call it, for their particular side. But when it comes to the history of defending freedom, if you start spinning that to the idea that leftist policies have actually achieved their goal of peace, as opposed to sent the signal of weakness, and weakness invites aggression, you come back to something. You say, wait a second, what does it lead to? Inevitably, sooner or later, you've got a butcher's bill that is far higher than it could have been if people would have been applying policies and holding people to account and telling the truth about the greatest country in the world, and that is the United States of America, our foundation, Judeo-Christian foundation, and how the American soldier and those that serve in the American military of any form have been the great liberators in our time. Yeah, isn't it amazing? That truth, justice, and the American way. Remember that? Superman doesn't, at least the modern version, but I digress. Crane Durham's Nothing But Truth. We go to leadership. President Obama, Chuck Todd of NBC. What a brilliant job American Family News, Chris Woodward did on Beat the Press. We talked about the interview last week, with Friday, went through it, and I don't think we got to this clip. And President Obama, during this interview, before they got to Iran and before they got to Sebelius, quite frankly, specifically, he talked about the website. The website, yes, the one that is being fixed and has caused all sorts of problems and had single-digit results because of people enrolling and, not enrolling. And then we were told about a whole host of things about calling in and that we'd just be in the same queue so we wouldn't be actually enrolled and problems there. And we've even got a story of identity theft through the great Gateway pundit. Anyway, he was talking about the website. Now, remember, this is the man who had 3 years to put this thing together. He is the buck stops at the presidency, transparency. He is a leader. He is a leader. And he had this to say about the website. Roll it.
I am deeply frustrated about how this website has not worked over the first couple of weeks. And I take responsibility of that. My team takes responsibility of that. And we are working every single day, 24/7, to improve it. And it's better now than it was last week. And it's certainly a lot better than it was on October 1st. Having said that, given that I've been burned already with a website, well, more importantly, the American people have been burned by a website that has been dysfunctional, what we've also been doing is creating a whole other set of tricks, making sure that people can apply by phone effectively, making sure that people can apply in person effectively.
Been burned by it. Obamacare! How dare you, Obamacare! I've been burned by it. I've been burned by it. But you're the commander-in-chief. You're the president. You're the executive. Execute the law. You make sure things are done, complete. I've been burned by it, because you got a contract and everything, and I can only manipulate the law so many times. I mean, I didn't want to have a problem in the election. I got to waive the employer mandate, that. But I can't do that because then I'll screw up the funding mechanism for the other part to that, the individual mandate. And plus, that's only a sliver of people, so I can't manipulate. What were we talking about? Oh, the website. I've been burned too. That's amazing. I wonder if did a lot of CEOs do that, by the way? They sit there, I'm angry too at my company. It's frustrating for me. Probably, because nobody would buy it, right? Claire McCaskill, senator from Missouri. You won't believe this. Actually, you will. She's going with the cash register line about, we got a great project. The cash registers don't work. Yeah. And if you don't buy it, well, it's against the law. We'll have to find you. Fine you. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's a great product, though, and sure. Seriously. What's funny about putting the show together tonight, I was sitting there going, there's no way. They really think you're dumb. They think I'm dumb. Of course, you're a talk radio and you're a conservative. You must be a moron. We need geniuses like Chris Matthews and Ed Schultz and Rachel Maddow. Why'd you do that cartoonish voice? I don't know. I've got to change it up a little. Come on. Though Chris Matthews is actually very smart. I think he's twisted, but he's smart. Rachel Maddow, I don't know. I don't watch them enough to get it. That said, are you getting a little frustrated that you've been told that President Obama has apologized? What about Sarah Palin? Are you going to get to that? I'm going to get to that. This is the point. It takes me a little while because I want to bring some background. We go a little more in depth on this program with 90 minutes. Yes, that's what we do. So, of all people, Chuck Todd was talking about the president and the apology. And he was on with a friend of mine, Carol Platt Lebo, pardon me. I always mess up her name, and my friends know I will mess up their name if there's anything to it, like Eddie V. He knows that. That's why I call him Eddie V. Vitagliano. Did you get it? So, Carol Platt Lebo was sitting in for Hugh Hewitt, as I understand, and this was posted up on townhall.com and as well as YouTube. And I had just seen something on Newsbusters where they did a montage of Chuck Todd interviewing the president the other night, Thursday night, and the attempts for Chuck Todd to get the president to apologize, and he wasn't doing it, even when Chuck Todd would say, well, you didn't really mean what you said, but can you understand that people won't trust you and all that? I mean, so Chuck Todd was asked about that by Carol, and he was remarking on how long it took President Obama to, I'm putting the Chris Farley quotations around this, apologize. Here is that, I believe it's cut numero 1. Roll it.
Look, I thought it was going to happen right off the top. So I was surprised that it didn't come until the second, or I think it was my second question, the first follow-up. But who knows how he thought about how it should come out, how it should look. So, but I will admit that I thought it was going to I thought it was going to come right off the top.
Yeah,
but it didn't. So it would have been shame on me if I didn't ask for one.
Got to give a shout out to Jeremy on that because he's moving with me when I move around the clips. Bottom line, Chuck Todd says that he was surprised. Yeah, it was surprising when you gave him a number of opportunities, but now I want to hear the apology. So we'll go to cut 12, and then we'll go to 8 and 9. And what that means is we've got President Obama. This is where he apologized. It was after the second question, and, well, I want you to hear this for yourself. Cut number 12. Roll it.
Do you feel like you owe these folks an apology for misleading them, even if you didn't intentionally do it? But at this point, they feel misled, and you've seen the anger that's out there.
I regret very much that what we intended to do, which is to make sure that everybody is moving into better plans because they want them as opposed to because they're forced into it, that we weren't as clear as we needed to be in terms of the changes that were taking place. And I want to do everything we can to make sure that people are finding themselves in a good position, a better position than they were before this law happened. Keep in mind that most of the folks who got these cancellation letters, they'll be able to get better care at the same cost or cheaper in these new marketplaces because they'll have more choice, they'll have more competition, they're part of a bigger pool. Insurance companies are going to be hungry for their business. So the majority of folks will end up being better off, of course, because the website's not working right. They don't necessarily know it right. But even though it's a small percentage of folks who may be disadvantaged, it means a lot to them and it's scary to them. And I am sorry that they are finding themselves in this situation based on assurances they got from me. We've got to work hard to make sure that they know we hear them and that we're going to do everything we can to deal with folks who find themselves in a tough position as a consequence of this.
I will call for my break, Brent, by the way, just FYI. Now, this is interesting to me, very interesting to me, because I'm sorry they find themselves in the way. But first, he had to attack everybody again, blame everybody. I mean, really? Anybody who's run their own business or had to be part of a structure, number one, as a leader, you take the blame. And behind the scenes, maybe you will fire some people, but you gotta take it. You gotta say, okay, I said this, but that's not how the president works. By the way, I don't like people being fired. I like people being held to account. But we've got a problem there with this administration, this government, this society. Nobody wants to be held to account. We immediately start thinking of forgetting the victims, the survivors, and blaming ourselves. No, this is on President Obama. He lied 23 times, said it 23 times. He knew what he said. You just heard Jake Tapper talk about how in 2010 he knew this was going to happen, and then he tried to marginalize the people that had already lost their health insurance. Gee, that feels good. That's a leader. I mean, yeah, but you're only a small amount of you, Here's a guy who believes in equality for everybody. Oftentimes he believes that means finishing in the same place, but I digress. He believes that everybody gets a chance. Everybody. But excuse me, you 3 million, 7 million, 14 million, 93 million, whatever the number is. Beep, boop, oh, no, not so much. It's only this. I mean, I'm sorry that they're in the situation they're in now, and the insurance companies, well, they are applying the law. They're obeying the law. I mean, what do you do? The insurance company, but who wrote the law? The insurance companies are bad guys. They really think you're stupid. They think we're stupid. And we're not. They're all talking about, I know, the establishment versus the establishment versus the Tea Party, and as a social conservative and as a Christian conservative and as a guy who likes the Tea Party, I sit there and go, I know that's always been there, okay? And people are going to be able to work that out in some way. I'm not about the R's and D's. I am about accountability. I'll analyze messages. I'll do all that, and I'll do it for both parties. My point is, I just want you to see what the result is when somebody lies to you and tells you the government's going to do something and the consequence of believing that. Now, some of you say, I agree with you, Crane, but you also want to know how to engage this kind of nonsense. Go to the most villainized, the vilified people. Go to Ted Cruz. Go to Sarah Palin. On with Matt Lauer. I like Matt Lauer, too. I do. I think he's, at times, a very good interviewer, even though I think he's biased and liberal and all that, sure. I think he's good at what he does. And anyway, he's on with Sarah Palin. And I didn't like what he was doing here, but I just have gotten so used to it. Here he is, and he goes with the Democratic talking points, which are, the president apologized. Now, you just heard that apology, right? Do you think it was an apology? No? Either did Sarah Palin. Roll cut 8. Roll it.
The president apologized at the end of the last week for not only the issues with the website, but broken promises as well. Did he say what he had to say?
Yeah, what apology? What apology? He kind of acknowledged a bit that there is a broken website. The broken website is the least of America's worries. This broken website, I think, is symbolic of a broken administration, a takeover of 1/6 of our economy, and the socialized medicine that's being crammed down our throat. That's what's broken.
He apologized for the fact that he made a promise during the rollout, during the campaign for
many promises.
Made it over and over again, said you get to keep your existing policy if you like it. 5% of Americans can't keep it because it doesn't meet the standards of the new health care law. If it turns out, Governor, that they end up, those 5% of people, with a better health insurance policy, do you think they'll forgive him for the broken promise?
Well, where do you get this 5%? It's not 5%. It's most Americans will not be able to keep the health care policy and programs that they had desired. And the new programs that are being forced down our throat are unaffordable. People who are being told today, and some of them are still being told, well, if you like that insurance policy and that coverage, you still will be able to keep it. It's just going to cost you a little bit more. That's the point. If it's going to cost you more, then it's not the same policy.
That was great. Challenge the number. What are you getting? This 5% and a sliver? And we could have gone back and said, what about the 100% cost overrun? What about the fact that they say it's lower than projected costs, but they don't go back to what the previous costs were? What about the fact that we're $17 trillion in the hole and we're going to get worse, not better? What about that, Matt? No, but she's stuck on point. And she said, where are you getting that? That's just not true. And he couldn't come back with anything on that. Now, maybe this is his style of interview, that not getting into the debate with the person and holding him to account. But if you hold Sarah Palin to account on this, you're going to lose because she's right. So that said, what do you think came out of his mouth after she just basically put him up and put him down? Well, you know what it has to be. What about the Tea Party? I'm not kidding. The clip begins where it just ended. Roll it.
From the Tea Party, over and over again, we're hearing the words no, defund, delay, repeal.
Absolutely.
What are we hearing from the Tea Party in terms of an absolute realistic plan that can be an alternative to Obamacare?
It's not just the independent grassroots Tea Party movement saying this. It's many in the Republican Party and many Democrats, too, especially Democrats in red states that are running for re-election.
Where's the plan?
Running for political cover. The plan is to allow those things that had been proposed over many years to reform a healthcare system in America that certainly does need more help, so that there's more competition, there's less tort reform threat, there's less a trajectory of the cost increases.
So you tell me you think
those plans have been proposed over and over again. And what thwarts those plans? It's the far left. It's President Obama and his supporters who will not allow the Republicans to usher in free market, patient-centered, doctor-patient relationship links to reform health care.
Let's move on. Let's talk about Chris Christie.
Oh, yeah, let's go. Bush had a health care reform plan. Tom Price has one. You have premium. Oh, heavens. The premium assistance with Paul Ryan. I go through. do you hear what just happened? So it's just running through. Now, understand, he could have come back. He had a limited amount of time. I get all that. But did you hear how she handled it? Now, when you do that, you're going to be called an idiot. You're going to be called a radical. They're going to take things out of context to say, I can see Russia from here, from my front window. When she never said it, but hey, Tina Fey did. And if Tina Fey and comedy is going to be really shaping your political views and your political positions, well, I suggest you get a big cheeseburger. You don't even have to eat the bun. I'm worried about the protein to your melon. Crane Durham's Nothing But Truth. As we go to break, and we're going to break now, thank you. What we're going to do is come back. Really, Crane? You're going to do that? And so I don't hear the music, so I don't know. There we go. Awesome. And as we go to break and come back, we are going to come back. Gonzaga. What is it? The March Madness? No, not yet. Also, Al-Qaeda's on the run. Al-Qaeda is growing. What is the difference? Well, it depends on which week it is. Gateway Pundit points that out. Israel, survival, and John Kerry's view of advancing peace. What is peace? Find out on the flip side. Veterans Day edition of Crane Durham's Nothing But Truth. Happy Veterans Day, and thank you to each and every one of you who has served, and are continuing to serve. Go to the Facebook page, make a comment. We'll get them on next hour. Crane Durham's Nothing But Truth, AFR Talk.